Mushrooms and Dragons, Season 5, Episode 4, Should Not Eat. Once again, we are using the Medical Medium website in order to make this video. And we will be focusing on foods that we believe you should not eat. Obviously, you do not put fat, oil, and grease down the kitchen drain. Any decent plumber would tell you this. I'm going to quickly go from one article to another, just showing you how plumbing is similar to the cardiovascular system. Because understanding your cardiovascular system is as simple as plumbing. So when I said do not put fat, oil, and grease down the kitchen drain, it's because it blocks the pipes, and your arteries are your pipes. One of the ways that we could block our pipes is by making our blood dirty. And this could happen from lack of proper daily hydration from the right liquids such as lemon water, fruit juices, coconut water, then combined with a diet that is too high in fat and protein for a long time, and a toxic, stagnant, sluggish liver from pathogens and toxins leads to chronic dehydration that causes the blood to thicken. I want my baby back ribs. Come here, piggy. We highly advise that you should not eat pork. Avoid all forms of pork, including ham and bacon, processed pork products, and lard. It's difficult to heal any chronic illnesses while consuming any kind of pig products due to these foods being high in fat. The high blood pressure and the kidney stones could be due to all the pork sitting in your belly. Should we eat the lamb? They are just as high in fat as the pig. To the slaughterhouse. Yo, ChatGPT. Are so-called healthy oils like olive oil high in fat? Yes, healthy oils are still high in fat. About 1 tablespoon equals 14 grams of fat. So if you're chronic illness and you're trying to heal, you cannot heal if you're putting olive oil on your food. A high-fat diet is destruction for your heart. Yo, what up, baby? I put gluten in everything. They call me the butcher, the baker, the inflammatory maker. Gluten is a protein found in many grains. Forms of gluten to which people are especially sensitive are wheat, barley, and rye. When it comes to oats, be aware that growing and processing sometimes cross-contaminates them with grains that contain gluten. Oats can be very good for people who are less sensitive, though look for those that are labeled gluten-free. Grains that contain gluten also contain multiple allergens and proteins that can trigger any condition. They create disruption and inflammation, especially in your intestinal tract and your bowels. They also confuse your immune system, which is your primary defense against disease, and often trigger a celiac disease, Crohn's, or colitis. Eating these grains make it very difficult for your body to heal. If you'd like to recover from your illness as quickly as possible, minimize grains of any kind. All of the healthiest people live on a high dairy diet. Dairy is a troublemaker because it clogs the lymphatic vessels by clogging the liver. And then it's mucus forming because pathogens feed on lactose and protein. It also feeds viruses, bacteria, and unproductive funguses, mold, and yeast. It prompts pathogens to produce poisonous byproducts, and it slows down absorption and the assimilation of healing good foods. And then it prevents the body from cleansing. It stays in the bloodstream for too long, causing insulin resistance. And dairy makes the liver sluggish and stagnant. Are you sure about this? Are we talking about the same dairy? Dairy, including milk, cheese, butter, cream, whey or whey protein powder, kefir, yogurt, ghee, sheep's milk, goat's cheese, and all other dairy. They feed pathogens like viruses and bacteria. Plus, if you're eating dairy, it prevents your body from cleansing, which means that the toxins and the pathogens can't leave your body. They're being held down by the dairy. Dairy doesn't just get broken down and digested and sent on its way through the digestive tract on a timely fashion. It sticks around, allowing pathogens to thrive in the small intestinal tract and colon, and slowing down the absorption and assimilation of healing foods such as the fruits and vegetables, the leafy greens, and the herbs. These foods hold healing nutrients that get caught up in dairy's film and lose their vitality and value. Think about if you leave some type of dairy out in the backyard for a few days. What happens to it? Well, if you leave it in your gut, it gets caught up in there for a few days, a few weeks, a few years. What happens to it? What kind of bugs start living in this dairy? Natural flavors. Any ingredient with a name like natural flavoring is MSG. Should not eat. Artificial flavors can represent any of thousands of chemicals that were birthed in a laboratory. Don't take risk by consuming them at all. Good work, doctor. Continue to genetically modify the corn. Corn used to be one of the fundamental sources of nourishment on Earth. Unfortunately, the technology of the genetically modified organisms, GMO, has destroyed the corn as a viable food. Corn products and byproducts create substantial inflammation in our bodies. It's a food that feeds viruses, bacteria, molds, and funguses. Try to avoid all corn products that have corn as an ingredient, including foods like corn chips, taco shells, corn cereal, anything that incorporates corn syrup or corn oil. My GMO soy is just as good, if not better, than your GMO corn. Soy has suffered a similar GMO fate as corn. Soy used to be a healthy food. However, you can now assume that any soy product that you encounter could have some GMO contamination and contain added MSG. So be careful when eating soy or soy products. Should not eat toxic farmed fish. Farmed fish are often raised in small enclosed spaces. This breeds algae, parasites, and other diseases. So the breeders often give the fish antibiotics and treat the water with toxic chemicals. This makes consuming farmed fish very risky. The safest fish you can eat are wild ones, such as salmon, halibut, haddock. No matter what type of fish you eat, they all have mercury, especially larger fish, such as swordfish and tuna. Should we put vinegar on our fruit salad? Should we put vinegar on our veggies? Should we drink vinegar? No, we should not. Vinegar dehydrates the body on a deep, deep organ level. And when you're cleansing, you don't want to dehydrate your body. Vinegar preserves poisons, trapping them inside of our organs. Toxins dehydrate us as they require an abundance of water to dilute them and eventually flush them out of our cells so they can safely leave our organs. Rather than help us flush out these toxins, vinegar allows toxins to penetrate our cells and organs because it sucks the water out of the cells. And that even deprives poisons and toxins deeper into the organ tissue. Picture this: a jar of pickles with cucumbers sitting in a bath of water and vinegar. If the water in that jar had traces of fluoride, lead, arsenic, pesticides, or any other type of chemical poisoning, the vinegar would bind onto those toxins, pushing them deep into the pickles, possibly all the way to the core, because that's what vinegar does. It drives the poisons deep into the core of our organs. The worst of all the foods, the egg. Should not eat the egg. I am Dr. Draconis. I invented the EBV, the egg-bathing virus. I remember when we first put little EBV into an egg. It grew so fast and so strong, and it would scream, "Feed me more eggs." I was able to develop over 50 strains of EBV using egg petri dishes. At the start of the 20th century, people in the medical industry began testing which foods were best to feed viruses, bacteria, and pathogens growing in their labs. They began testing sugar, meat, fruits, and vegetables, but none of them contributed to the growth of the pathogens. Eventually, the lab stumbled on one common food and found that not only was bacteria capable of surviving on this food, but it could reproduce and colonize rapidly. The eggs you eat can feed the pathogens, viruses, and bacteria deep within your liver. These growing pathogens, viruses, and bacteria can create symptoms and conditions like heart palpitations, fatigue, weight gain, hot flashes, anxiety, acne, and more. So when you eat an egg, you could be gradually worsening your condition without realizing it. Yes, these pathogens that cause chronic illness are alive and need to eat to survive. What is in an egg that bugs like to eat? Eggs contain protein, enzymes, and natural hormones. The proteins in an egg are not mature because they're still in the development phase. For this reason, enzymes can attach to the protein in a unique process that only happens in an egg. This process makes it possible for the pathogen to easily absorb the proteins and enzymes through their membrane and use them for food. Over time, the pathogens and heavy metals feeding on eggs in your liver proliferate and create a stagnant, sluggish liver. I don't want to read this part of the article because it could potentially get my channel a strike. But I'm going to leave it up here for you to look at it for a moment because it's very important. Look at all of the problems that can occur from eating eggs. Many people of our lives have these problems, or maybe we might have these problems ourselves. You could find this article and all of these other articles on the Medical Medium website and read it for yourself. Caffeine from coffee, chocolate, matcha, black tea, green tea, and energy drinks dehydrates and acidifies the body, creates false fight or flight response, prompts adrenal glands to pump toxic blend of adrenaline, hurting the brain, the liver, and kidneys, creates blood sugar imbalances, headaches, insomnia, anxiousness, weight gain, premature aging, adrenal fatigue, hair loss, depersonalization, and kidney stones. When we consume caffeine, it creates a boy who cried wolf. It's a kid pulling the fire alarm at school when there's no fire. If you're consuming caffeine all day long, you're continually telling your body that there is a crisis, prompting your adrenal glands to respond all day long. That can create a numbness. When a real crisis comes in, we may not respond appropriately because we're basically immune to the experience of adrenaline hitting the central nervous system. And specific blend of adrenaline that fight or flight triggers can be highly toxic to the body because it's highly acidic and corrosive to the nervous system and the other organs. This kind of adrenaline release is not meant to be used every day, let alone multiple times a day. it is meant to be a sparingly. Over time, this adrenaline blend can slowly scorch the liver as the organ sponges up the adrenaline to protect you. Caffeine addiction forces the adrenals to pump a harsh blend of adrenaline through the body for hours and hours. It's truly unhealthful. And down the road, it's going to lead to aging, damaged skin, brain fog, severe focus and concentration problems, fatigue, hair loss, weight gain. These symptoms may not show themselves in someone's 20s. They tend to surface later in the 30s and 40s. Even if someone is experiencing weight loss or stable weight right now, they still can gain weight from it later. Once the adrenals have become trashed enough or the liver has become stagnant and sluggish enough from the excess adrenaline caused by the caffeine, it also causes reactions such as blood sugar imbalances and headaches, insomnia, anxiousness, mysterious sadness, depersonalization, chronic dehydration, kidney stones. Here's a fun fact. Caffeine deteriorates our teeth, and as they deteriorate, we urinate them out. You should not drink the tap water with the fluoride. Should we take our medicine? Yo, chat, GPT, is there petroleum or petroleum byproducts, aluminum, mercury, and copper in our medications? Yes. Some medications and personal care products may contain petroleum byproducts, aluminum, copper compounds, but mercury is now an extremely rare due to toxicity concerns. How can we avoid these ingredients? Well, you could read the ingredient labels carefully, even though they don't always tell you. You could choose products labeled petroleum-free, aluminum-free, heavy metal-free. Look for natural or plant-based formulations. Here's a list of some other ingredients we should not eat. Aspartame, citric acid sweeteners, formaldehyde, nutritional yeast, preservatives, alcohol, canola, and processed beet sugar, colostrum, charcoal, chlorella, hydrochloric acid supplements, sodium bicarbonate baking soda taken internally, iron supplements that aren't plant-based, diatomaceous earth, whey protein powder, multivitamins, hair, nail, skin supplements, glandular supplements, L-carnitine, gut powder blends, diatomaceous earth, fish oil, collagen. You should not eat the guano dip. You should not eat if it looks like this. Dude, nobody cares about all that nutrition stuff you're talking about. You don't even have a clue what you're talking. You can't even prove none of that stuff is even real. Look at me. I eat whatever I want and I'm just fine. Ooh, what's that? I want to pick it up. I want to eat it.